makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravine. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Gloria Mendez, the founder and owner of True Light Coaching LLC and Luna Evolution Counselling, and she is a clinical director of Ellie Mental Health in San Antonio. You know, at some point in life, pain and grief will come our way, and everyone has different responses. In today's conversation, we will learn how Gloria Mendez, pain and grief inspire her to be who she is today. Good morning, Gloria. Excited to have you here with us today. You said that your story reads like a dramatic novel. She's super interesting. What
Right?
is your
Yes.
story? How did your journey begin?
Well, my journey began actually with grief, a traumatic grief by my standards. When I was 15, my grandfather had a stroke and passed away 3 days later. And my grandfather was the most important person in my life. And that was a pivotal time in my life that ultimately changed everything. And so from that point on, everything was dramatic. Everything was more intense. Feelings were more intense. Goals were more intense. Relationships were more intense. Distance was more intense. Just everything was different. And so I got a hefty dose of what grief was like. And at that point in time, I didn't understand what I was going through. And I didn't really grasp it until later in life. And in going through training in becoming a licensed counselor and working with people, did I come to realize what my journey was. So that notion of hindsight is 2020 was very applicable to me. And going through becoming a certified grief professional and working on courses and doing my own type of work on my own self and going back and reflecting on what choices I made and how I came to those choices, that helped me to help others. And so that's how I came to realize where my drama came and how I impacted my own drama and how to correct and eliminate drama and just facilitate a better way to navigate grief and help others. I'm happy that I went through it so that I can help others not go through it the way I did. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of my story.
And I completely understand where you come from, because I lost my grandfather too. That played a big part of my life, and
Yes.
it was hard. And me and my older sister take it super hard.
Yes.
And from that, would you say that how long do you say that it takes you to go through that whole process? I know you lost him at a young age. Did you get to your
Yes.
adult life still dealing with that? How long that process took you?
So that is something that is continuously debated and dependent upon whom you're speaking with. People will tell you, and especially researchers, theorists will tell you certain timelines. And diagnostically speaking, there are certain timelines to give a diagnosis, which I am not on the same page with them. So diagnostically speaking, there's 1 year given before you are given a diagnosis of like complex grief. And I don't agree with that. I think grief is fluid. I think grief is part of life. I think grief is at your own pace. I think grief is just another cycle. And some days are good, some days are not so good. It's just how you communicate it and how you incorporate it into your life. And you look at grief as not so much grief, but maybe memorializing, incorporating that person into your life in a different way, coping. And that's kind of my way of facilitating the grief journey with people, is languaging, figuring out for them what works for them in order to step out of that darkness that is stereotyped.
So if I understand, go ahead.
So because there's so much in traditions, in religions, and just history, where we're supposed to go through grief, step 1, step 2. There's even the theory of the stages of grief. Well, it's okay if you don't go through them in the way that they're set up. You could skip one. One could come 5 years later. And people need to understand that that's okay. Grief is personal. It's individual. Grief happens within families differently. But it's important that it happens.
Exactly. So it's depend of pretty much what I understand from you is everyone deal with it in a different way. So following
Correct.
some sort of formula to deal with your grief will be perhaps will create a bigger issue for you in your life. It's better for you to deal with it in your own way, in your own stage, your own step, just following your feelings and try to learn to understand your feelings and deal with them in the proper way.
Correctly. People get more stuck when they try to follow a formula set up by someone else, because that's what works for them, not for the other individual.
So pretty much that is pretty much you following that. What your feelings is, you learn how to deal with your feelings, how to deal with the fact that my grandfather is no longer here, and you day by day you deal with it how it's come to your life. Some day might be good, some day might be the worst, but it's okay because you'll deal with it.
Right. If you need to take a day to feel all those horrible feelings of sadness and grief and anger, that's okay. You've got to give yourself permission to be sad, to be angry. It's all okay. If you didn't feel it, it wouldn't be okay. But you feel it, so it's okay.
So I guess if you didn't feel it, you are not human. That's all I can say.
Pretty much. I mean, because people need to understand that feelings are natural responses to stimuli. They're automatic. We can't control them. They just happen.
I agree.
So if you're feeling something, you've got to address it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Would you say that, I know we're going to get into your businesses later on, but would you say that losing your grandfather is what drove you to actually become who you are today, be able to be a counselor, to start your business and all these things that's going on in your life right now? Would you say he plays a big part of it?
He definitely plays a huge role in everything that I do today. He was instrumental in forming the person that I am today. Yes.
Absolutely. And I love how you use that to empower your life instead of just, some people would have used it against their own life. So you use that to
Right.
actually keep your strength together and keep on moving forward. And I love that about it.
Yes. Yes. I'm a big believer in gathering your pain and turning it into purpose.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about your businesses. I'm super excited and I can't wait. You are the
Okay.
founder of True Light Coaching LLC and also
Yes.
Luna Evolution Counselling. And not to mention,
Yes.
you are a clinical director of Ellie Mental Health, which is in St. Antonio. So tell us about
Yes.
this organization and the field of operation.
Okay. Well, True Light Coaching is my baby. I started that honestly to facilitate positive change in people's life through the coaching platform, which kind of is very synonymous with counseling, but there's no diagnostic stigma. There's no issue with insurances and putting a label on people and having to get authorizations. People can feel free and not worry about labels following them on their record. So the coaching platform is moving forward with goals to just become stronger and better. So it's a little bit more quick paced than the counseling process because you're just moving forward. Whereas the counseling process, of course, is more theoretically based. It's more going backwards to the source of the problem and patching up those holes and bringing the person forward. So it can be a little bit more long and drawn out. And of course, there's insurance and the whole method of diagnosing and possible medication management. So I created the balance, the coaching and the counseling. I've been in counseling. In December will be 25 years. I know I started when I was 5. Just kidding. And the frustration with the counseling business aspect of it, it was one of the motivating factors of also starting the life coaching business, because there's so many individuals that don't want to carry a diagnosis and don't necessarily need to carry a diagnosis, but still want the benefits of improving their lives. So that's what that's for. So my coaching, I do grief coaching. I do online classes so that I can provide benefits to as many people as possible. I collaborate with, I don't really like the term of this industry, but it's called death tech. Yes. So there's a branch of technology called death tech, and they create apps for grief. So I was approached by one company called Lalo, and they have developed a really wonderful app. And you can find it on Google and Apple. And it allows people to interact with whoever they invite to their page. And you can store photos, verbal memories, recipes, videos. You can journal, and it's digitally saved, so that should anything happen, house fire, God forbid, those kinds of things, all of your memories are uploaded and saved. Yeah. So I provide some services to that company. So that, and so that's for the coaching, and then I provide whatever support I need to with people that reach out to me, and I'm hoping that grows as well. And then the
No, go ahead.
What do
Go
you have to
ahead.
say? And then the counseling is all teletherapy. Right now, I'm just licensed in Texas. I hope to license in a couple of other states, so that I can branch out into teletherapy in other states. And I focus on grief, because I'm certified in that. And that's something that's a labor of love for me. I just got certified as a clinical trauma specialist. So I will be hopefully working with trauma victims. I work with depression and anxiety, pretty much a lot of the things that surround grief and trauma. And I work with 13 and up. Yes. And then the Ellie mental health, that is a new baby of mine, that I kind of just stumbled across, and I'm really looking forward to that baby, because it's going to be a baby that I'm going to nurture for probably the remainder of my career. Ellie Mental Health was created in St. Paul, Minnesota. And that's the origins of it. And it has grown to where it is now a franchised mental health company. And so there is a franchise owner couple that contracted to provide 10 clinics in San Antonio. And so I will be the clinical director for those 10 clinics in San Antonio. And we are going to gear up to provide exquisite mental health services to the community in San Antonio, as well as incorporate a nonprofit organization to facilitate as much benefit to those in need.
Oh my goodness. You are a very busy woman. What can I say?
I love to be busy. But most importantly, I love to give back to my community, and to as many people that I can help mentor to do similar work that I do, because it's needed.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Listening to everything you just explained to me, you claim that you have been inspired by your grandfather, Lucio, right? I'm
Yes.
not sure if I'm saying his name the proper way. Lucio?
Lucio.
Lucio, like it. So, can you tell me what role did he play in your life? What role did he play in your life?
Well, I think that begins with what role he played in the community. He was a self-made entrepreneur. He owned his own wrecker service and body shop, paint and body shop. He was the go-to person in my hometown. If your car was wrecked, your car was broken down, it needed fixing, if you needed a tow truck, he was available to the community 24/7. He was also a reserve police officer. So in his spare time, he worked shifts for the police department. He went and had coffee almost every morning and took me with him, um, and just sat around the police department and just was a friend to the community. We were at church every Sunday, front row. Anybody needed a helping hand, he was there. He taught me how to be a good person.
Oh, you're going to make me cry, Just listening to you
Yeah.
talking, I just can imagine that. Like when you said you were sitting in the front row going to coffee, I'm trying to imagine it in my brain. It's like, wow, it's hard to lose someone like that. Absolutely.
Yes, it very much is. So he taught me work ethic. He taught me compassion. He taught me service. He taught me everything.
I'm sorry. I have to take a deep breath. It's just you talking about him. Kind of when you're talking, it's kind of you remind me of my own grandfather. It's amazing to have people in our life in our childhood that's actually keep us going even to our adult life. And it's
Right.
kind of funny. Sometimes something will happen to me, and I will say, "What will Grandpa do?" Okay, Grandpa, I need
Yes.
your help now. I don't know what to do. Guide
Right.
me. I just Here's my
Exactly.
head, here's my brain. Take it all. Just tell me what to do, and I'll just do it because I need your
Right.
help. So
Right.
I guess I love what you have done because you didn't let all of his hard work go to waste. You
Right.
used every single one of them.
I I wanted my work to be an extension of his work.
And it is. You are helping the community. You are supporting your people. You are there for them. You are guiding them, the one that's dealing with the same thing you went through in life. It's losing someone like that is one of the hardest thing, and you deal with it for the rest of your life. So having someone like you
Yes.
that actually went through it and going through it and be able to have that guidance, it's important.
Yes. I believe so.
Absolutely. So what is the focus of your treatment and how do you achieve it?
So the focus of my treatment is understanding the person's story, understanding um, like their basis for how they process their grief, um, their family background, their belief systems, either through their culture, their religious upbringing, environmental, and then how that works for them or doesn't work for them. And then figuring out what they need to take from that to work for them and what they need to pull from the outside to facilitate their own personalized journey. Because the reality is, and it's not that culture and religion is bad by any means. It's not. But cultural and religious practices were formulated so very long ago, and they haven't been updated to match the environment that we deal with today. So we naturally need to buffer it with other things, not necessarily completely throw it out, but fine tune it to what works for us.
Yes, I agree.
So that's pretty much the basis of what my work is. Plus, I use a lot of work with languaging, um, learning how to communicate, using the right forms of language, learning if the person is using like auditory languaging, kinesthetic languaging, those types of things. Because if you're trying to talk to somebody and the other person is not understanding, it may be that they understand, their comprehension as it is at a different level, and it's not intellect, it's languaging, and people don't readily learn this. It's nobody's fault.
Yes, you are right. And you know what? Thinking about you saying it, you're right. Sometimes, even when you're trying to communicate with someone, doesn't matter. Even if you speak the same language, it doesn't really matter because you say one thing, the person can take in a whole different level of what you are just saying, but it's not the same meaning.
Right. Yes. Yes. So, when you're engaging with somebody, it's important to kind of keep track of the words that they use. Are they using words that elicit sounds? Are they using words that elicit movement? Are they using sounds that elicit visual? And then you have to use those for them to really click with you and get that understanding. It's like it's mirroring, but at a verbal level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you tell us something about the personalized, your treatment modality you have developed, and also tell us about the unique treatment method that you developed? So I know that you say you developed like a unique treatment method. Can you tell us about it?
So, sure. It's confidential. No, just kidding. So initially, I start out with cognitive behavioral. And then as I progress with my clients, I pretty much go into a fine-tuned what they need. So if they are needing something that's more like mindfulness based, we'll go into like breath work, and doing the breath work that will elicit those feelings
Okay.
to the core. If they need, because the reality is trauma gets trapped in our bodies. So we need to move our bodies in order to release. And that's where the breath work, that's where the yoga, the stretching is beneficial. So I have them do yoga, which is not necessarily a therapeutic technique, but they'll start doing yoga and they'll burst into tears. They'll start doing breath work and they'll burst into tears. I'll do these visualization exercises with them and it'll trigger something. But when you have people relax their mind and go within, it's really deep. I went and got trained in integrative neural language programming. So I utilized some of those techniques, and those are very, I won't say fun, because they made me cry. but those are meant to tap into the unconscious brain and sync up with the conscious brain and reverse the output. basically reprogramming. So it can be very intense. So you have to get the client ready, and the client has to be accepting to make that transition and go that deep. It's a segue into hypnosis, but it's not hypnosis.
Okay, so how long would you say that it takes a client to actually get to that stage?
To do the transition?
Yes.
Not long at all. It can be done in one session.
In one session.
Yes.
Do you usually find it that they take it hard, or they find that they feel a little bit more, it's like, things is better for me now? Or is it like still have to kind of like learn to accept what just happened?
It's a mixture of responses. Some get immediate relief. Some are kind of like in shock, disbelief. Some are emotionally drained. That's why it's so important to kind of prep the client for what really is going to happen and what to expect after the fact.
So let's say if they are not taking it too well, what happened? How do you deal with it? With them to How do you help them actually to deal with that because they're not taking it out too well?
I mean, we just continue with the talk therapy and, just regular old counseling. But the reality is, when you make that flip, that subconscious trigger isn't there anymore. It's more of the shock state of, I can't believe it's gone.
I got you.
I can't believe I don't feel that anymore.
Yes. So would you say that that is one of your way of healing and growth for your clients? That's one of your method to help them heal and grow? Like,
It's one of them, yes. I would like to think that I have a nice picnic basket full of tricks, and I keep stuffing my basket with more tricks. I am a lifelong learner. I love to take as many classes, as many trainings as I can, because I think without learning, you cheat yourself.
that's true. So what other methods or technique do you use to help your clients heal?
Besides breath work, NLP, CBT, trauma methods, and grief work, I use play therapy. I'm not certified in play therapy, but I use play therapy techniques. I use narrative therapy. I use journaling. Journaling is such a very important technique that people really don't understand. People think of the old notion of, a diary, dear diary, but it's not that. It can be as little as writing or finishing a sentence, a prompt that I give you, that takes less than 5 minutes, or it can be a brain dump. There's so many different types of journaling, and we use those in session. I have hundreds and hundreds of journal prompts to elicit all different kinds of therapeutic work. And when clients actually do it, they find it really beneficial. I have clients write out affirmations and say them to themselves. I have clients create playlists for themselves to utilize music therapy. I have clients do meditation. I teach them meditation. I have clients listen to binaural beats at night because different sound frequencies will trigger different areas of the brain to help with different issues. So I try to encompass a whole lot of different things. I have in queue, haven't started it yet. I have in queue a Reiki practitioner program that I'll be taking. So eventually I'll be trained in Reiki so that I can utilize that as well. I want to be able to facilitate healing for as many types of individuals because individuals believe in so many different things. And I believe therapists need to be diverse in their practices.
When you say that you are a learner, you are always learning, you're actually serious about it, you don't play, you just keep on learning.
I don't play. Yes.
That's actually amazing. I love it.
You can ask any of my colleagues. I'm always learning something.
I like that. Absolutely. It's a great thing. So how do you help people navigate the grief journey?
I like to have them write. I like to have them tell their story. I like to have them create what their story is going to look like in the future so that they can focus on where they want to be instead of being stuck in where they are now. I call it illumination, lighting their way, because if they can imagine what their life's going to be a year from now, it gives them a sense of hope instead of being stuck in their darkness right now.
Hope. Yes. We all need that. So if we only know what we need to be working on, what we need to be going toward, so it's kind of help. And I feel like also another thing you kind of help them with also is to find their that thing that they want to do with their life.
Right. Living with that person, like I had mentioned earlier, living with that person in a different state. You know, that person is gone physically, but that person's not gone. How can you create a life with them here in a different way? It's transformation.
Absolutely.
Not end.
So
Again, it's wording.
it's wording, yes. So how do you help first responders to combat compassion, fatigue syndrome, and burnout in the next stage of the career?
So that is my goal for the next stage of my career. Is I want to create a nonprofit that will have a facility that will have like a place for groups, a place for individual support, a place for sky's the limit in my brain. As many services as I could get in there, free free massages, free, just complimentary wellness services. That, if they're done with their shift, they can stop in for, a 20-minute back massage, or, something, just stop and go, pass out free gift cards for, a free meal. And then support for like respite workers, medical facilities, family caregivers of hospice, and end of life patients. They struggle a lot. They need support, and there's not a lot. If I can get people that can be respite for them so that they can take a break, maybe create some type of fund for, them to take a weekend off and have somebody go in and take care of their family member for them because they don't get a break. Have clinicians go in to hospice facilities and sit with the families and talk with them, share with them, go take care of the hospice workers, just love on them because they don't get it. That's my goal.
So are you planning on doing like grants, fundraising to be able to provide that? Because that service will,
Yes.
all of the services will be free to them, correct?
Yes.
That's
my goal.
That would be
That's my
incredible.
goal.
That would be awesome, I have to say.
Because these individuals, they work so hard, so tirelessly, and they don't get enough support for what they do, and what they do is so hard on their hearts.
Yes, you are correct.
They need some loving.
And sometimes we need that break with the love to go away and just recharge again.
Yes. Most definitely. They need some self-care, even if it's on site. Hey, go take an hour, go take a nap.
Yes,
I got this.
absolutely. So what is your mission or goal? In other words, what are you planning to do next? I know you have the nonprofit. What else do you have?
I'm working on a book. So I'm working on a grief book based on my story. Yeah, I'm working on a book, and I plan on going back for my PhD.
Okay, so you have a lot of plan. Again, your plan is including learning, of course.
Of course. So, and then, anything else that I stumble upon.
Like meeting me.
Yes. Yes. So if you want to collaborate on anything, you just let me know.
Absolutely, because I study psychology. So what you are talking about is very close to me. So absolutely understand everything you are talking. And I love all the different techniques and how you actually not focusing in one thing. Because you are right, trying to make someone just do one thing when that one thing is not going to help them, it's worthless. So I love your technique. It's different. And different is good.
I'm glad somebody appreciates different.
No, different is good.
Yes.
Because if you're just like everyone else, so that's me. You're not doing anything better than everyone else. So So
I like to be unique.
yes, yes, that's the right word for it. Unique. So
Yes.
you are a successful businesswoman. So what is your message for the women entrepreneurs who are just beginning their journey?
So, my message for those in the beginning stages is be fierce in your passion. Don't accept no. Always believe in yourself. If you fall down, get back up. And never stop. Just keep going. You'll get there. It may not be on your own time, but you'll get there. Just keep going. And even if you've never thought of being an entrepreneur, you can be. I initially never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. Never. But here I am with 2 businesses, and who knows what else, can happen. But I just got the notion that I don't want to work for anybody because I'm strong enough and fierce enough and independent enough to be my own boss. So I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. And you know what? What you are doing right now, you'll be doing it for someone for less money.
Precisely.
They're getting rich.
Precisely.
And you're just living paycheck to paycheck. You can even barely pay the bills.
Exactly. So, that's not a way to live. I mean, back in the day, all the men were entrepreneurs. That it doesn't have to be that way. We can be anything we want to be. We just have to set our mind to it and do it.
Absolutely.
And we can do it better.
Absolutely. We are born leaders. That's how I see it, because we might not be leaders where we go in the world, in the business world, or to be in the chief of the corporations or the big stuff. But for me, I feel like a leader is starting at home. That's where I started, right at home. Either you're a man or a woman, as a leader, you start at home. So guess what? Right. We were thought to be leader from the time we were born, to be able to lead a household. So if you can lead a household the proper way, then who else gonna beat you?
Exactly. If you can manage a house and kids and dinner and homework, you can manage a business.
Absolutely. You got this, girl.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to share with us before I let you go?
No, I think that's it. I mean, if anybody has any questions, they are more than welcome to reach out. I believe you are going to post all my information. I will be more than happy to answer any questions or help anybody out.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today. And I appreciate you taking the time, being with us, and not giving up even when technology said we should.
Right.
So I completely appreciate that. And thank you for keep on learning. And because the more you learn, the more you can give and the more you can teach. So I love that about you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Wow, that was a great conversation with Gloria. I enjoyed every single minute of it. And not all of us talk about grief. That's something we seems to don't like to talk about. And I'm grateful to have this conversation with Gloria and for her to share her story with us. And remember what Gloria said, it takes time to overcome grief and don't rush into it. And from my personal point of view, don't try to take it out of your friends and family either. Because if you do that, they might not be as supportive as you would like them to be. And also remember that grief will be a lifelong struggle. And it requires you to take the time to heal and to move forward. And most importantly, remember to take time for yourself. And don't forget to get help from a licensed professional like Gloria that can help you in your journey with grief. Thank you, Gloria, for taking the time to have this conversation with me, and thank you for listening to this week's episode. Let me know your thoughts about this episode and what you think about grief. To learn more about Gloria, please visit www.gloriajmendez.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.